rubbish. Now, I said if you didn't have a lot of kitchen roll tubes, because we don't tend to use those as much as we use loo rolls, you could make a taller turret with 2 loo rolls. All you need to do for that is to do some slots in the bottom so that you can fix it down onto another loo roll. So that means, let's get our castle back again. Let me just move it back a bit so you can see it all. There we go. So you could have your turret in the corner that looks like that, your tower, or you could have a really flash one in the corner that sticks out a little bit and looks like that. And again, because you've made those slots, it's still quite sturdy and stable, just like your curtain walls for your castle, because you've made those slots and you've made a good joint in the corner, that's still quite sturdy too. Okay, so I have put on Seesaw lots of ideas that I have found on the internet of how you could make your castle. You might want to make it a fairy tale castle, you might want to make it look very realistic, like it was made of stone. You might be really clever and decide you want a moat around it, or you might want to make some arrow holes, or ask a grown-up, or maybe just draw some on here, because as we read in our reading last week, they used those little slits to fire arrows down on enemies, didn't they? So let's have a look. So there we go, look, there's one of my arrow slits. You might want to decorate your box. Now remember, Miss Fothers always says, what is this kind of glue for? It's for paper. So it doesn't really stick very heavy things, but cardboard is a kind of paper, it's a kind of thick paper. So if you put a lot of this kind of glue on, it probably will stick, but sometimes when it dries out, the things will fall apart and they won't stick, and that would be very sad for you. So it does tend to be better to use white glue or PVA glue like we do in school. Things will just stick a little bit better if you use that kind of glue, or if you have a very crafty family, you might even have a glue gun or something at home that you could use. So if you wanted to decorate your castle, you might have a box that you would like to cover. So I've just got, you know, Miss Fothers, a piece of old scrap paper. Oh, in fact, that one's a clean piece. I better put that there. So I've got a piece of scrap paper here that I don't need anymore. So on one side, what I'm going to do is draw some stones. So the big old stone that castles were made of. They don't have to be super neat. I'm just going to see if they can all fit together. I'm only doing it very quickly so that I can show you. Let me have a look. So there we go, look. Can you see how I've started to pattern this piece of paper made of stone? Okay, obviously it's not finished yet, but what you could do now is take your piece of paper and on your castle you could, let me just cut it. So now you could trim your piece of paper. Let me just trim the top off it. You could use the same method to make some battlements on the top of here for your curtain wall. So you're just going to fold every other one down. There we go. And then chop off those extra bits because we don't need them. There we go, look. So then you have got something that would stick onto the outside of your castle. Your curtain wall would have a battlement at the top of it, and obviously you'll do that a lot neater and a lot better than I've done it. I've just done it quickly whilst you were watching me. You might be very lucky and have some coloured paper at home, so you could cut some coloured paper. You could even draw stones on this, make some battlements again, or you could just decorate the cardboard. You could paint it. I will put on to Seesaw and on the school website how to make paint out of things that you might have at home if you don't have paint. And then hopefully Miss Hussein and I will really look forward to seeing lots of photographs of you making slots, making hinges for doors or for drawbridges. We will see you making a nice sturdy construction. We might see you joining different materials to make your turrets. There are a few other things that I thought I'd show you. If you don't have kitchen rolls or a lot of loo rolls, you might have an odd bottle or two. If you put paper around that, that would be a good turret. This way you could cut the top off it. You could make into battlements on the top. Again, you could just use a piece of scrap paper, but and then use your and then use your felt tips to decorate it, to put arrow slits in it, or to decorate it with stone. Something else that we have quite a lot of in school, which we use quite a lot for building our loose parts, we have tins. Now if you are using tins, you need to check with a grown-up, because you might not have the kind of tin opener that makes this safe to use. So if you want to use a tin, you need to check with a grown-up to make sure that this is safe to use. My tin opener at my house folds in all the sharp edges, which means that there's nothing sharp there and it's safe to touch. Some tin openers will cut the top off and it's very sharp, so you wouldn't be able to use that then. So you need to check with a grown-up, but that is another thing you could use. Again, you can cover it with paper, you can make the battlements at the top, decorate it in between. Okay, so have a think about the junk you have in your house. I have got a cereal box there, which I showed you how to turn on the other video about vehicles. I've got some tissue boxes, which I could join together to make my castle. I had my big box that I used, that I had a delivery for Daisy's birthday, which I have used, and I had those bits of card that I cut off another delivery just to use as rectangles of card. So have a think about the different things you could do, and have a look on Seesaw and see some of the ideas that I've put in there. And Miss Hussein and I cannot wait to see what you come up with. If you can tell us what kind of construction you have used in your joints, that would be even better. Anyway, we look forward to seeing your constructions, and happy castle building.